Hi there and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Bailey Phoenix 644. These are a basic walkthrough on how to set up and operate the van as if you were coming on or off site. So starting off first, you have your black hitch head here with black lever that you have to have pulled up. Now occasionally that will sit up by itself, other times it will just have to be manually held up whilst you wind it down. What will happen is that when you wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar, it will cause that black handle to snap down, push up that red button and expose a green ring. You then have a breakaway cable just here. Now legality states if you have one, it has to be used around the eye point, that is. If not, wrap it around the tow bar. You then have 13-pin electric, so if you do have a 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. You then have a gas strut handbrake. Now, with these, to release, you press in on the button and press down. And then when you're pulling it up, you'll hear a first click, second click, and then just give it a final jolt back for that third click. You have 2 points either side and 2 points at the back, and these are your inserts, your legs. Now the Garabad itself comes with a leg winder, or alternatively, you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level your legs using your legs, just because it will put excessive pressure on them. Now we're using test equipment today, so here we have the plug-in for the mains. Mains plugs in, nice and simple. This is the only apparatus on the door side that will be shown today. On the opposing side, however, starting off first, we have the insert for your water pump. Now, I have an Akrol here full of clean drinking water and your water pump. To remove it, I press in on the trigger and pull out like so, and you'll see on this one it has electrical pins. To insert it, all you have to do is press in, which I'll show you in a second. You have this plastic cap to go over the top of the Akrol to ensure no nastiness gets in. And then at the bottom, we have your strainer. Now it's crucial that that sits at the bottom of the barrel, just so no air is getting pulled through rather than water, as otherwise it will just cause airlock. So what you want to do is either straighten it out before every use, or my recommendation is to get some PVC piping or something similar, just so it's always nice and straight. But as you can see there, all you have to do is push in, and to remove it you press in the trigger. You then have your flue just here. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when operating on gas. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then we have your gas locker. Now this has 2 points for gas bottles themselves. I am using propane. I'd always recommend propane over butane just because it has a better performance in colder temperatures. Then connected onto here, we have an in-date gas hoses. Now black gas hoses run for 5 years, and this one is dated 2025. That connects from the bottle to the regulator just here. Now what you want to do is hand tighten that as much as you physically can, and then just nip it up using the spanner, just so it's always nice and straight. You don't want to over tighten it though, so I'll show you on this one. They have an O-ring inside which can cause excessive pressure on it, leading it to crack, leading gas to come out. But once both sides are firmly connected, twist the gas bottle on. We have 2 points where your wastewater is going to come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipes to feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. And lastly, we have your toilet function. So first up, we have your cassette. To remove it, press up on the handle and pull out towards you. You can also pull this handle out and up, and can be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. You just want to make sure it gets back in there. And then what you want to do is twist this head to the side, open up this cap just like so. You then want to tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing your vent button. Then my recommendation, as you can probably see, a little bit of pink left there, is to feed in some fresh water, give it a bit of a shake, put this lid back on, and again tilt and vent. Then on this cap you have measurements in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into there, push it back on, push the cassette in so the orange handle sits behind those white teeth, as then it can't be removed without pressing it up. Above that we have your flush tank. Now the flush tank itself has capacity to hold around 12 litres, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill the capacity. You can also add some pink chemical which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes it smell nicer. Now you don't want to travel with either of these two full, so just up here got a little bung to drain it out, also drain it out during winter. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you collect it. Then underneath your right hand side seat you have your boiler just here. The main thing to note is that you have this yellow switch. Now that is your drain valve. One facing in the position as it is now, that is allowing the flow of water to come through. However, when you collect it, it will be in the vertical position. That is drain mode. Drain mode, keep it up continually during November to March, and anytime you come off site, give it a drain off as well. If you're travelling with the caravan, make sure that is always up because you don't want water sloshing around the system that can cause internal damage. Then just next to your bed, you have all of your trips and fuses just here, all your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position. And then under the bed, if I just move that out of the way, that there is your battery locker. So with Baileys, because they're in the floor, you have to get slightly lower ones so that they are able to fit. You can't have the big bulky ones. Off the top of my head, it's 190 millimeters. Then just here we have your main control panel. So we have the on and off switch just here, which is the master switch. You then have internal lights button here, and then you do just have to use your representative switches. You then have awning light, which I'll press in. Okay, try that without being interrupted by Radio 1. Awning light just there, and go outside and you can see that's on. You then have this button just here, which shows you the amount of charge coming in, which right now is 13.5. If I was only on the leisure battery itself and I weren't just plugged into mains, it would be pretty much just the leisure battery. However, even if you're plugged into the mains with a leisure battery on, it will show the amount coming from the mains because it's a higher power outlet. You then have here your pump button. So switch that over onto the on position, and what will happen is that when the tank is pressurizing, it will then have that green light just there. When I say tank, I do mean boiler. So it will pull through the water, it will then come through to the boiler and pressurize. Then what you want to do is come over to your sink, open up on both hot and cold. As I don't have the heating on right now, I'm not going to show you hot, but what you're looking for is a nice steady continuous stream. If there's any coughs and splutters, it will be because there's air inside the system itself. So check that your drain valve is shut, your pump's at the bottom of the barrel, you have plenty of water in your Akrol. But my recommendation is once you press the pump button, wait about 2-3 minutes, let it get pulled through and run the tap for about 30 seconds and get this nice steady continuous stream. Just to show you, when I switch it to hot, because I don't have the heater on, it is going to be a weaker stream and you may get a cough and splutter. And as you can see on the top, green light is on. It's pulling through the water itself, and when it is pressurized, it turns itself off. That is very good timing. Then just here, we have your Truma control panel. So this is for your heating and your hot water. Naturally, we'll fade to this green screen when not interacted with in about 5 minutes. You have a back button, and then you also have a dial. So press in on the dial. You can see just there, that little plug shows that I have mains plugged in. So first up, I have the caravan with the thermometer in it. This is for the internal temperature of the caravan that you desire. It goes up to a maximum of 30 and starts at 5 degrees. You can then see I have the flame symbol at the top to show the heating. Whatever I set it to, it will get to that temperature in around about an hour's time. Next to that, we have water heat. So it's either off, eco, hot or boost. Now, eco gets it to 40 degrees, hot will get it to 60 degrees. And what boost does, it prioritizes heating the water itself over heating the caravan for around about 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes, it will then drop it down from the boost setting to eco. Then we have energy source. So I can either use strictly gas, a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt, mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt, strictly electric with 1, or strictly electric with 2. And again, it changes the symbol at the top. So you've got the choice of gas, mains, or both. You then have fan speed. So it's either eco, high, or boost again. Eco is nice and steady. High is a lot more vigorous, and boost is prioritising heating the van over heating the water. However, if you do not have your heating on and go back over here, and if it's a nice day such as today for once in Great Britain, you can then go back over to the fan and it's either off or vent. And what vent does, using the vents across the caravan, it will circulate the air inside. So you have all your windows open and then you can circle in some fresh air. Then we have a timer just here. So we have the start time where you have to manually input first the hour, then the minute, and then you put in your end time, and again manually input the hour, then the minute, and that allows you to have the heating on when you're away, for example. Then we have the time, so it's not currently 4 minutes past midnight. You just select the correct time with first the hours, then the minute, and it is a 24-hour clock. Then you have the spanner setting. These are your additional settings. So you have offset, temperature, brightness, 12 or 24-hour clock, language, index, and reset. I'm not going to go through these as we have set this to what we believe the most user-friendly panel to use. However, if you'd like to have a look inside your book pack to see what they represent, then please do so. However, if you don't want the heating or hot water on at all, to turn this off completely, press and hold in on the dial, turns itself completely off. I'd recommend doing that before you actually shut down the caravan using your main switch, just because it can trip itself out sometimes. Then just here we have your toilet, which is quite simple. Open up the lid, press in the button, and you can hear that motor. That motor is what will push through any water inside the system. So again, then to remove the waste, press away on the handle, opens up the catch, pull it back towards you to be able to remove the cassette. And when the cassette is full, there'll be a red light under there telling you to empty. We then have your hob, grill and oven operation. So everything works on gas, minus the electric plate. It will show the light there when it is on and operating. Everything else you have to press in on the dial, twist it to the side and press your igniter here. Now it may be a case that these will first light up and then cut out, or it may be a case it takes a while to first actually click it on. That is natural. That is the gas making its way through the system itself. So just relight it and it should all be fine. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all flames nice and lit. Then turn it up back to the central position to turn it off. And it's the same concept for the grill. So let me see if I can do this with one hand. Can just take a second to come through. And there you can see both sides nice and lit. Again, with this, it may be a case one side will light and then the other. Then finally, your oven. Now make sure these trays as well do not intrude on the igniter. So press in to the side. And there you can see that all nice and lit as well. Only other thing to note is you want to make sure you travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all of these are cold to the touch. And if you're traveling with a gas bottle, make sure the gas bottle itself is turned off whilst traveling, just so it's not going around the system. Then here we have your fridge operation. So open the fridge door, got a button on the top, switch it over to mains. Now you can see inside it is a blue light in comparison to when it was at central, which is off. You have the choice of 3 different sources. So you've either got mains, that battery symbol which is only representative for 13-pin electric. It is not representative of your actual leisure battery itself. And then you have gas. On the side here you have a dial showing the amount of power coming into the van. Thicker the bar, the more power coming in. And then you have an igniter just here. So when you're operating on gas, what you have to do is press in on both these two at the same time, and this orange bar will gently float over into the green. You don't want to let go of these. You have to physically keep both fingers down until it is floated over to the green, and then you have to make sure it's firmly in there as well. So press both of these in, you'll hear it gently click in, and then you might hear it click in, and you see it floats over gently into the green. See if I can focus that a little bit better. Got a bit of glare from the plastic, but you can see that it's on. Now when I switch it over to mains, instantly drops out, but even when I go to switch it back to gas, you'll see it gently falls out, so you just have to reignite it. Then when it's off, you can see no lights on inside, and it does take around 4 hours for the fridge to fully chill.